What's up, good people? We're finally at the end of season 4. The finale of Insecure was tonight. The whole crew is back. We got a lot to talk about. What a way to cap off this season. A lot of ups and downs and crazy turns, and a lot of things really came to surface in this episode. But before we get started, as always, we just like to make sure we introduce everybody. I'm in the middle right now, so I think I should say to my, which way is that? This is my right. Oh, it is still okay. Right to my right. Amaya, what's up?
What's up, guys? I'm here in the building. I'm barely my scalp holding on for dear life.
That energy is back. That energy that no, and you're turning up. Okay, this is a whole new person from last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm Nigeria's, of course, and over to my other direction, my left, Sherelle.
Hi, good evening. It's Sherelle Dominique on Facebook and Sherelle Dominique on Instagram.
Yeah. Uncle Lou.
Sherelle with the long hair. Sherelle give you everything too. In her description, Joe, she let you know. What's up, good people?
Don't follow me.
And Miss Jazz is back. Jazz, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm glad to be back just in time for the finale.
We got so much to talk about. Let's get a couple of little things out the way really quick. So first off, Prentice Penny directed this episode. It's the first episode this season he directed. And his last recent project, something I know Lou was a big fan of, was Uncorked on Netflix. And I did see a lot of contrast. Yeah, a lot of contrast of his style in this episode. And if you've never seen this work, if you've seen that movie, then it's easy to tell that the same person was behind it. Time for us to toot our own horn real quick, really quick. And I should be real petty and go on YouTube and figure out who was like, nah, it's definitely a girl. We called it when Issa pulled up and said that, hey, I told you want to hear it first, and confirmed that person was Molly that she went to go holler at. We'll be back at that one by the end of this episode. Believe that. The trailer from last week, previewing this episode, I just wanted to quickly say they did knock everything out in that trailer within like the first 2 minutes of this episode. So I already knew we were going to be in for a ride after that. I thought the cinematography from this episode was one of the best this season. Really shot. I gotta also plug my guy. This season started off with Tyler the Creator, A Boy Is a Gun, and ended off with Tyler the Creator, We're Still Friends. If you know the lyrics of the song, it's a lot of symbolic factors to why those songs were played. And unless again I was under a rock, did we find out what that painting was that they purchased from the market? I'm still looking for that. Like they made a whole big deal about that and did nothing. So and you know what's funny? I ain't seen no chat on the Facebook group. I ain't seen nothing on the YouTube comments. So they played towards that and we got nothing from that. So I just wanted to make sure. Also, so I told you I was gonna get on Sherelle real quick. So I see Sherelle. I know exactly what she's been up to this entire time. The more and more defined that we got that Nathan was going to be single, the more and more she's been trying to put on a little extra each episode. I'm like, so the finale all of a sudden, now that they're friends, Sherelle like, look, Nathan's not going to come on this episode tonight. Just want to let you know. But Sherelle, I peeped.
Don't do that.
Her true love for her boo Nathan. We love Nathan.
Don't do that to me.
We love you too, Sherelle. We love you too. All right, so really quick before we get into the episode, any other little quick thoughts? I just want to also say too, we are going to do a full recap of the season. But this, as we got to this point, what is your thoughts about this episode and this everything, how it came full circle? Maya, yeah, you first, my bad.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fine. I think this episode was very it was a lot in one episode, to be quite honest. I'm with Sherelle. It's disrespectful to come on at 10:20,
right?
45 minutes. Issa, what is you doing, honey? Goodness. But no, I think the episode had a lot. It had a lot in it. It was fully packed. I can't really just pick into one thing without going into everything. So I'm gonna and then wait for us to discuss the topics.
Go ahead, Sherelle.
So I will note that along with directing, Prentice also wrote this episode. And of course I have notes.
Hey now.
So I guess we can start off with the fact that he got the job in San Francisco. Well, Lawrence got the job in San Francisco. And where does that leave the relationship? But I will point something. Lawrence's behavior was a little off this entire episode. From the market all the way to the end, he was a little off. Like, he wasn't excited. There was like no enthusiasm. There was just, he was just dry. He was real dry. I think like he had a lot on his mind maybe, but he just was off. His whole vibe was off. And once again, Issa following what he wants and not what she wants.
They
like, what?
Hey, I agree. Sherelle, I agree with you 100%. So Najir just defends Lawrence. That's his man. He knows Lawrence personally. It's a couple of Lawrences in his circle.
In Najir's defense, I won't defend Lawrence, right? But I will say that I have been in a similar situation where, like, if I'm gonna be honest, like right now, I applied for a job in Japan, right? And if my relationship was thriving and in a good space and I got the job, it would be a bit of turmoil to decide whether or not I really want the job or if I really want my relationship to work. So in his defense, I think that could have been part of what he was going through, because he was excited. He was excited, but then he also, when she asked him, like, so what's up? And he was like, I haven't heard anything yet. He was still excited, but I think the closer you get to the reality of it, then you're just like, is this what I really want? It's a valid question, although I do think that it's something that they both should have talked about in depth, even though they kind of did at the market. But I feel like, that's kind of, I don't think Najir does us any service by asking us these questions at the very beginning of the podcast.
Yeah, I was just asking. It was a note period. If there's anything that needs to just be said or thoughts about it, I'm definitely going to get into specific things. But it was just just in case there's any little thing you wanted to just plug in or anything. I mean, I don't know.
I think that from my predictions before we started recording, that the Condola scene that happened was one of my predictions. And I actually really liked that scene because it was, even though I guess for the most part, people are, you're rooting for, a lot of people out there rooting for Issa and Lawrence. But I think in that, so you're anti-Condola, but I think in that moment I felt a little for Condola. She was sitting there talking to Lawrence, who clearly did not want to, he was very vocal that he didn't want to have this baby. So that's a hard pill to swallow. And I think he put in stride.
Jasmine just went right on in there.
Hey, I'm about to say, because I want to get into that. Because listen, that was one of my favorite parts of that episode. Of this episode.
So here's my thing with that though, and we can have a discussion about it at the end.
I'm coming right back to Lawrence right now. I ain't about to let this slide. Like, okay, yes. Lawrence got his job, and Issa said it's not a deal breaker. It's a 45-minute flight, realistic, real facts right there. She's willing to move for love if it's going to work. And she's just tired and want to cut out the bullshit and just be around Lawrence. And Lawrence wanted to work. And I am trying to figure out what's the issue here, people? What's wrong?
I can tell you. It's yeah.
So,
Lou, what was the
like? I'm just sorry. Like, my man got a job. He's happy to be in a position that he's never been, and he's also being. I mean, we talked about the issues that Issa and Lawrence had before with communication. They are addressing that. They're also defining what they want here, and he's actually becoming accomplished in life. He's also being considerate to her as well. what is it that I'm not getting that there's an issue here?
So are you meaning before the baby bomb?
Yeah, of course, the very beginning. Yeah,
everything was wrong with that. It wasn't anything wrong.
It
with
wasn't
that.
the thing. It was the enthusiasm that Sherelle was talking about.
Right, but you said the entire time he didn't.
But that's the standoffish approach to things. He probably wasn't enthused because he didn't know what her reaction was going to be.
But I think so.
Of course, that's what I'm like. Where's the problem?
Sorry, Najee. So was it 2 episodes ago when she was calling? 2 episodes ago when she was blowing up his phone.
Yeah.
So here we are, all these weeks later. I feel like he already knew, but we just needed to see the conversation, so they plugged it in.
I don't think we can. For me, I don't think we can sit here and make an assumption as such. And that would mean like the editing tried to show it as if it was real time and that he lied about when it happened, and they also showed it as if like what he said wasn't true. He said they talked. Why isn't it not her to be the one that not addressed it when they had the first time to talk?
Did they have the first time to talk? Because notice they never showed that.
They never showed it.
They never showed.
They didn't have to show it.
They purposely didn't show it. I think they purposely didn't show it.
Yeah, I think so too.
So they didn't have to show it for it not to happen.
I'm saying I think they purposely didn't show that supposed first conversation. Because kind of weird. No. Think about it this way. He kept on saying Condola wants to have a conversation with him. It was important. She wanted to have a conversation with him. And then they just never show it. And all he says was, oh, yeah, we over.
Yeah, we talked and it's done.
Yeah,
but if that episode would have went that way, then the continuity of that episode would have been all disrupted. That episode was literally about Issa and Lawrence. That's it.
But that's what Sherelle is saying.
Yeah.
So when did the conversation actually happen between him and Condola?
That he's been
and if you look at it, that's what she compares with him being nonchalant about everything after that. He was kind of nonchalant about it. So it makes you wonder, that conversation, when did that actual conversation take place? Because they purposely are not telling you when that conversation actually took place.
So I think
way too speculative.
So you think that's the first conversation?
I think that's the first conversation. When I saw it, I thought that was the first conversation.
Me too, because it looked like they had not seen each other or talked to each other.
Right.
Yeah, I think that they purposely did that for lingering purposes to drag.
They had to close that.
I think that based on what we've seen, I don't think that Lawrence was lying about it. I don't think that he was holding on to it. I think that, like I said, you're in a new relationship, yet old relationship, trying to walk a different walk because they've been both being very intentional on how they're walking and dealing with each other. So you're in a new space. You're out for a new job. Like there are a lot of things that are happening human wise. I think it is something to think of. Like, how would you be feeling if in this situation, and look at it like that? I don't think that necessarily it has to do with him. Like, I don't know if I call him nonchalant. I feel like the newness wore off. I mean, if that's what if I would call it anything. I mean, yeah, you're excited the first 2 weeks into something new, and then I'm like a 6-year-old with a toy. All right, that shit was cool, but where's my new toy? Like, so if you're excited, you're excited and you're in it, and this and the third, and then 2 weeks later, you're just you're still excited, but you're just not as hype. I don't know. Me personally, I'm not overly hype after a certain amount of time. It usually what they call flattens out. And it's the steady. It doesn't dip or anything particular, but it just it gets steady.
Hold on. Jazz, get in there really quick on this.
I think I kind of agree with Amaya. I feel like it wasn't. I don't know if that was. I can't say for sure that was the first conversation. I don't know. I guess we're not gonna find out till next season now. But I don't know. I feel like that's a big. I don't know.
How about this? It could have been the first conversation. How about they never had one before then? What is it? If we pay attention to the episodes, the gap in between time is supposed to be from when they were supposed to have a conversation to this one, a couple of days.
Yeah.
A couple of days. So she went from a couple of days ago saying we need to have a conversation, and they didn't mention anything about a baby, and then a couple of days later she mentions a baby. Come on. We can put two. We can put, as we did when we predicted what was happening in this episode, and what Jazz predicted also was what happened. We can put 2 and 2 together. It ain't that difficult to put 2 and 2 together here.
But also the editing of the series has never been that way. It's never been like deceiving. No, it's never been deceiving though. It's never.
Think about it though. Is it deceiving? They're actually literally not telling you that either way. That was a conversation that was had.
Yeah. You forget the first conversation that they had was the status of their relationship, and he addressed that, hey, we're not together. So to say that they went in there and talked and say, hey, we talked and we had resolve as to we're not together, we're moving forward. So was that a lie?
About them not being together?
Yeah. Because that's what the conversation was about. He went to Condola because he wanted to talk.
And then what I'm saying though, Lawrence said that was the conversation.
I understand that.
From Condola texting him and saying we need to talk. I don't think that we need to talk was about them being in a relationship when she had already established that's not what she wanted. There's no need to have that conversation then.
If anyway,
all the speculation about her being pregnant came up from, because we already knew there's no speculation about a relationship because she didn't want one. The only speculation could be about her being pregnant. So when that's what makes things weird. Because it was never about a relationship with her.
But even if he didn't know in that scene, his behavior was still weird. It was still off to me.
I'll say this, and then let's move to the next thing. I think much like Amaya said, you're getting a job and you're telling the person you like that you potentially are going to move. You don't know how that's going to be perceived, so you can't walk around with a little bit of happiness, but a little bit of concern, and then all of a sudden not walk like gingerly as if like you don't know how it's going to go. I mean, Issa could have easily be like, all right, this is a deal breaker. I mean, he literally asked every question of that sort. He said, is this a deal breaker? Are you willing to move? You're going to end up, you're going to lose your job and all this other stuff. And he literally went down the line of every question and concern that he had about potentially having to move in the beginning of it. Yeah, but he
say it again, Sherelle, because that's what I thought when he said it. We see it out of eye here. They just not seeing it, but we see it out of eye.
So
I think his vibe was just off for whatever reason to me.
What about letting Adrian put his cape on? He need to put that cape on for Lawrence. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that the editing of the show doesn't give me reason to speculate about when the timeline or something happened. And even when I did have the speculation, if we were going to get 2 vantage points of Molly's day and Issa day, it ended up being sequential. So I'm like, I don't have any reason to ever think against that at this point.
Hey, different directors give different feels to different projects, my brother.
But
watching Uncorked, this is actually something he did in that movie, and that's what I pay attention to.
So yeah, like I said, I'll move on to the next thing. So
I was gonna say we had comments, but go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead and read it off if you see something.
Oh, okay. This one, it says Monkey Wrench. What if Condola and Lawrence had a talk, and Condola knew, but wanted to see if Lawrence wanted to work on getting back together to see if she wanted to keep the baby or not, and then thinking about it after she decided to keep the baby and told Lawrence at the time in which Lawrence told Issa. So kind of like what we were saying in reference to
it's very possible.
The possibilities. Here's the thing. I know that a lot of people go into these what ifs, and I get the what ifs because they are possible, but also don't want to seem like we're reaching too much. Chris obviously says, either way, Jamal, it was a dick move on Condola's part. This is the same chick that said she didn't want kids and settling down and pushed Lawrence to Issa. So
whoa, no way in hell. That's no way in hell. See, and that, my friends, is the wrong. That's the wrong mindset that a lot of, and I'm sorry because I am one of them. That's a wrong mindset that a lot of men have.
Well, no, go ahead, explain.
I've been in relationships where women say they don't want to have kids. Things can happen. And then when that option is presented, that don't mean they just gonna get rid of the kid. I think she did the grown woman thing by saying
you don't have to participate.
However you want to be involved, that's perfectly fine by me. That's almost establishing the point of her saying, yes, at one point I didn't want to have kids. I want to keep this one. But you don't have to be involved if you don't want to be. I've personally been in that situation with a woman. So I fully understand that. You can't always when what they say, the old saying, when the rubber meets the road, you never know what's going to happen. Not too many people are just going to openly say, you know what, I didn't want to have no babies. I'm just going to get rid of this one. No, that's an emotional thing to do.
I don't know if it's that cut and dry, right? But I think that the idea is that if you say, I know, well, yes, you're right. There are a lot of men who think that way. And there are women that I've come across who say the exact same thing. So it's a surprise, right, that you decided to keep it when you said that you did not want kids. I would say that potentially is the thing. Yeah, I'm going to be hella surprised if my cousin come to me and be like, I'm keeping a baby, when she was adamant about not having kids for the last 3 years. So I get that. But I also think that every woman has the right to change her mind, which is obviously what Condola did. You know what I mean? But there's still a surprise in that moment, especially because she didn't want to settle down with Lawrence, right? She was like, I'm fresh out of a marriage.
Yeah.
Now, at what point did she say she didn't want to have kids? Is it what she didn't want to have kids with Lawrence? Or because from my remembering, she said she didn't want to have kids with her ex-husband. Because she even says in the episode, I always want to have kids. I just wasn't ready to have kids then. That's a completely different thing.
Yeah, that could be completely different then. But I do know she wasn't ready to settle down and be in a real relationship.
You can have kids and not want to settle down.
You know what's interesting is that they navigated a little bit into the like, I thought we were safe, and then she was like, I thought we were too, which leads to believe that like they're that 1%, right, where the condom obviously is faulty, which I thought was kind of hilarious. But it is also a reminder, like, condoms are not 100%, you know. So yeah, interesting.
I just don't do the dick move thing when it comes to that situation. That is a very emotionally packed situation.
I think he was too much going on. I think he was talking about everything totally though, like in reference to like not, you know, allegedly not wanting kids, but definitely mentioning the not settling down and then pushing Lawrence and, you know, pushing Lawrence.
I don't think she ever wanted Lawrence. I don't think this has anything to do with him. She wants to keep the baby. Yeah. I think that's what we got to stop doing. I don't think she wants Lawrence. Yeah, I think we got to stop. I
think that's also why
we can't put everything together.
She raised it by herself.
Yeah,
it's not.
I thought that was a powerful moment when she said.
But you know what? But you know what? Here's the thing. That's a double-edged sword per se. It's a two-way. It's a two-part conversation, right? Because I've had that conversation with a guy, not because I was pregnant, but just because I was like, hey, in the event that I end up pregnant, I will get you papers and you are free to sign away your rights, right? Like you are like, I don't need any help from you. I don't need anything from you. Not because I'm saying you can't provide it, but because obviously sometimes men are not in that space and don't want a kid, and I'm cool with that, right? So, okay. Mm-hmm. But I feel like also it might have been, they might have felt some type of way with Lawrence's response, you know, like, why are you doing this? You know, we're not together. And, you know, are you sure that this is what you want to do? I think that we need to have, like, there needs to be real conversation around what this looks like for people who do get pregnant unexpectedly after, especially when you're using protection. Like, I can't even imagine, bro. I would just, I might just,
that's crazy.
As my mama told me when I first started doing the things that I've been doing, if you ain't prepared to have a kid with that person, don't lay down with that person.
This is true.
It is what it is. I've been in this situation. That was a personal thing for me because I felt every bit of that. Because I've had that conversation. I had a woman tell me that exact same thing. You don't have to be here. It is up to you to decide how involved you want to be in this child's life. But I'm not asking anything from you. So I felt that was a powerful moment. That's really her releasing him. If you don't want to be involved, you don't got to be involved.
It is. It is. It definitely is her releasing him. And I think there needs to be more conversation about that and what that looks like instead of like trashing. And I'm probably going to catch mad slack for this, instead of trashing dudes when they don't want to be fathers, because there are women who don't want to be mothers, right? Like,
no, that's not issue.
Well, that was going to be my question for the end. Was, you know, in these situations when the man says that he doesn't want the kid, and a lot of women choose to keep the kid, and then try to take the man for child support later. He told you what he wanted, and you decided to have that baby.
Well, that's most people's theory is that, well, it took two of us to lay down. In the event that the condom or something, birth control, whatever, is defaulted, either way.
Well, let's be clear, they're not using protection.
It's a hard conversation to have, period, because me personally, I could not see myself forcing anybody to do something that they didn't want to do. I would rather you just like, you know, just not be there. And it sucks because a lot, especially when it comes to our community, you know, that's a thing. A lot of us grow up without 2-parent households, but I don't know if I want somebody resenting me because they're here and, you know,
and they didn't want me.
Yeah. And we've seen a couple of those play out. So, you know, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next topic.
Grapefruit and Molly.
Andrew and Molly, I think that this is interesting. So my first thing, right? Work happy out. Andrew is clearly not about staying out with Molly, but she's like, come on, babe, what if, and instantly I'm thinking, so he can bend over for you, but you can't make exceptions for him, because immediately I went back to how she blew off him and his brother going to the game. Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, you selfish as fuck, bro. Like, hands down, point blank, period. And I mean, again, it's not that I have a dislike for Molly. I dislike some of the shit that she does. There's difference. Absolutely. It's like saying I love you, but sometimes I don't like you. Same.
I'm so sad because I feel like we're not gonna get any more Andrew storylines soon. So I feel like it's a wrap for Andrew. So R.I.P. Andrew. Hope he comes back. But I do think that this that moment kind of solidified everything that we had been seeing from Molly the whole season. She doesn't like compromise, and I think that's something that obviously in a relationship you need. So I'm curious to see how she what's next relationship wise for her.
I'm telling you, Molly is a Capricorn, bro. If I ever seen it.
It's hard to get into it without discussing the end after the situation with her and Andrew of going into the next situation with her and Issa, because I think it was highly important when he said, "What are you fighting for?" Yeah. And I think it clicked to her then she wasn't fighting for him, because I don't ever think she wanted to be with him.
It wasn't even that. It's the same thing the therapist said to her, and she didn't have an answer for it.
Right.
So as soon as she heard it again, she's like, I'm hearing the same thing from multiple people, so it was surreal to her. That's how she works. Once she hears the same story twice, she's like, okay, there's a problem.
Yeah. But I think she realized then that she wasn't willing to fight for her and Andrew, because that's not what she really wanted.
I don't know if it's that she didn't want it. I don't think she knew how to accomplish it. I don't think that she knew. You know how you ever
learn the skills, like the tools that she needed.
Yeah, I felt like she was so accustomed to sabotaging, right, or something happening that she wanted to make it work. I will agree with you partly because I think maybe she was with Andrew to prove everybody else wrong. Not because she was genuinely, I think she was interested, but I do think that there was a piece of her that was definitely pulling and struggling with, like, am I doing this for me, or am I doing this to prove to everybody else, like, I'm not mean, I'm not, this and the third. But first of all, I saw this coming. Like, I saw it building up, right? Because I feel like Andrew's a little bit of me, right? He's Taurusy, we're cute, we're sensitive, we're cuddly, we'll bend over for you a little bit, and then boom, how many times I did this for you and you ain't that what's a wrap? I don't got time for this. I do think that leads to a bigger conversation too, as well as that, like, don't constantly keep breaking yourself for people who are not willing to, or compromising yourself with people who are not willing to compromise for you, or at least meet you halfway. I mean, going to that game with his brother probably was, like he said, a peace offering. You were so busy holding on to the shit that happened in Puerto Rico or wherever they went that, you want to stay mad. Molly wants a reason to be upset so that she can be upset and be validated in the way that she treats people. And this was a prime example of that.
Yeah. When Andrew said to her that he's always compromising and she's not, and then when she said to him that she's always letting things go, I was like, that's the biggest lie she has ever told.
And angry she said it too.
Yeah, that's
what her therapist told her. And that's the whole reason why she went to therapy, is because she didn't know how to let things go. I was like, why she sit here and lie like that? But no, I think that relationship, it could have worked and it can still work, but she has to learn how to not be selfish. She's very, very selfish. And I was really confused, and I've mentioned this before when it came to Issa and Molly, how we always want to save our relationships with a man, but we don't want to save our relationships with women. And for her to, I don't know what that moment was, but to me, it seemed as though she was trying to fight for Andrew. But my thing is, why you can't put that same energy into Issa, in your relationship with Issa? Why is it that when Andrew throws those same words you threw at Issa, you want to fight, but you didn't want to fight for your friendship with Issa?
Okay. I mean, isn't that what she did at the end of the episode?
I'm about to say that's what I think.
It's been a whole season. It was an argument in the last episode where she stated that we're two different people. My point is that you're saying exactly what you said to Issa, exactly what Andrew was saying to you, but you want to fight for Andrew. When you said those same words to Issa, you didn't want to fight for Issa.
Again, unless the timeline is just not like theoretical. Like, first of all, when she had this conversation with Andrew in the beginning of the episode, it is what it is. We've already addressed every part of that. But after the whole situation with Tiffany and Derek, she went back to talk to Andrew. She went back to talk to Issa. So it's the same logic there. She went back to try to save two things that she's seen two other people.
When her relationship was ending.
I wouldn't say that. I was going to say, I think, we'll talk about Tiffany and them in a second, but I think when you saw a couple that everyone assumed was doing just fine, that it hit them close, they were all in the hallway crying. They was like, yo, wait, if they don't got it right, there's trouble in paradise everywhere. And instantly, she goes back and says, Andrew, we need to talk. I mean, her whole demeanor and everything about that conversation, although Andrew didn't reciprocate the way she thought it was going to be, she went absolutely back to say, we need to talk. What can I do? And he's like, no. And then immediately, she called Issa and said, we need to talk. So
I think it went back to, it all goes back to Andrew saying, what are you fighting for?
Yeah, I agree.
Because to me, I believe, but him saying that is him acknowledging you're not fighting for me. Mm-hmm. I don't think you want to be with me. I think when I said off air, we did a little thing as we was waiting for Najier off air. And I kept on saying, I'm mad that I missed something this entire season. And that was, he was her distraction.
Yeah.
And it never clicked to me that he was her distraction like it should have. But I think that's what leads Andrew to saying, yeah, you said that before, that he was Molly's distraction. It just never clicked to me like, wait a minute. And then when he says it, it clicks then like, oh, yeah, because he's saying, oh, I was thinking of this way before my brother. So we got to go way up in their relationship when in his head, he thought, you don't really want to be with me. You want the idea of me. You want the perception of me. You want people to think you got it together.
Well,
another accessory.
Hold on, Lou. To be clear, we said that in the beginning of it.
Yes.
And you vouched for that personality. We said that she's a person that, you know, she thrives on the accolades and being the head honcho. So when it came down to work, she was accomplished there. She felt like she was amongst the high of her friends. Then Issa started doing good. And then although Issa was in turmoil on the outside layer with her relationships, she was happy. And then that was the automatic, like, and then once she criticized her and her relationship with Andrew not giving people a chance, it wasn't not about giving her a chance. It was I'm going to prove Issa wrong here.
Yeah. It was, her relationship with Andrew was all about Issa.
Yeah. It was especially in that moment, it was acknowledgement that she was fighting for Issa through Andrew. She wasn't fighting for Andrew. She was really, because of you can tell like her passion, like I can make this work. I can do better. I can be better. It was that moment where she realized like, oh,
she wasn't doing that for Issa.
Right. It's me. And so she's like, damn. And then, and Andrew being who Andrew is and understanding what is happening, he gets to ask you like, what are you fighting for? And I think that was something that she needed. And I don't know if I've ever heard that before, but I think it would definitely make me stop in my tracks and think. So
really, really quick too, like, and I probably should watch it again, but I'll just go ahead and say it. Unless I'm forgetting something, at the therapist, did she ever address Andrew at all?
She addressed his brother.
Yeah, she addressed his brother.
But did she?
Wow.
But did she address?
I don't think she did. She addressed the brother and how the brother made her mad.
She addressed
and Issa, but did she address Andrew?
She addresses him in the term of the relationship, not him specifically. She says, my relationship is going really well, and I would have thought that my best friend would have been there for me.
It went right back to Issa.
Yeah, it was the one thing.
Yeah, well,
but I think the Tiffany part is a huge part in it too.
Yeah. Hold on, real quick before we go to Tiffany, is this something that I think we talked about a little bit last week? But was there anything else to really pull from this? The whole going to see Nathan and actually defining their relationship, establishing a friendship. He establishes what his purpose of the comments was. He just wanted to share his feelings, and they still continue to be friends. It's going to help her with the event using the space in the back of the barbershop. He also apologized. Is there anything else to make of that? Or is that just like a handshake, good deal, they're good to go?
I just think that they have a very solid friendship. I'm not reading any more into it, but Nathan definitely pulled a typical boy move with the whole expressing his feelings when he feels like he's going to lose the woman. But other than that,
I think that they're
got a good friendship.
That friendship is too complicated in my
yeah.
No, I'm being honest. It's too complicated. You have to be extremely careful, and boundaries have to be in place for that friendship to actually work. Because it is clear that if Lawrence messes up, which clearly kind of sort of to Issa, Nathan has a window and a chance to get in there if he knows the opportunity is his.
But if I was Nathan, I wouldn't want it because I'm your second pick.
It doesn't matter. Nathan knows that Nathan likes her. I mean, we see people do it all the time. You know what I mean? But I think that the friendship is too tricky. Nathan obviously is feeling some type of way for Issa. I don't even care if he apologized. What you said last week when I was helping you unpack these boxes was your true feelings. That's how you really feel, and nothing has changed from that. It is what it is.
But honestly,
he didn't say it wasn't true. He just apologized because it wasn't right to say it.
Nothing he said was wrong.
Yeah, I just feel like it's too complicated. It's not. I wouldn't do it. I would do it at a distance.
I agree with you on that too. I also feel like the bulk of this friendship kind of sprung up after, like recently. So I don't understand why Issa's kind of like why she's held on to this friendship with Nathan, why she felt the need that she had to hold on to this friendship.
Because she feels like she owes him because of the block party.
Or maybe they're just friends. I don't know.
And that's what I think too, Najee. I think it goes both ways. I think that they're just
go back to the favor that I kept on bringing up.
She thinks, because he helped her out with the block party.
You know what?
So it's a friendship out of obligation, not necessarily out of real feelings, which makes it worse. Because at that point, I don't need to be that close with you. Like, no, we're gonna put up these barriers because I don't know what the hell can happen here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he was being honest. I did like that. He messed up. He understood he messed up, and he was bluntly honest about it. My bad. I should not have approached that situation the way I did, but my feelings got in the way. Cool. But it's up to Issa then to put up the boundaries and be like, okay, I accept it. We could continue as friends, but I know how we need to continue as friends. But that's not on him for that. That's on her at this point because he was honest.
She said that. She said, she's with Lawrence, and she doesn't want it to be weird. And if it is weird, then she will roll out.
That's the issue going to be because if he knows there's an opening, what could possibly happen? Like, I think that's what Amaya meant by it's messy because if it's an opening, that kind of. Are we going to go right back into this situation? Are we going to throw the friendship away to attempt to do more than the friendship? Or are we actually going to be friends? Because men don't care about being second pick. Most men don't care about being eighth pick.
Women do.
Women care. Men do not care.
Go ahead.
As long as I'm in the top 30, I'm fine.
All right, look. I think. Okay, so Tiffany's missing. We knew there was something happening because there was a big tone of urgency that happened. Molly got a call from Kelly about 1 billion times, and she show up to Tiffany and Derek's house. The whole crew there. Mm-hmm. The whole crew is there,
except for Lawrence.
Wow. Yep. He wasn't there. That's Derek's best friend.
Maybe
hold on. But also all the ladies. Wait. Don't say just Lauren wasn't there because the other boys wasn't there either. All the ladies were there. So their crew.
What other boys? It's only ever been Derek and
There's only been two people in their crew.
It's only one other light skinned dude.
Only see them separate.
But you normally see Derek and Lawrence together. I think those are supposed to be the closest ones.
Yeah.
Has that been established, or are they just all just good friends?
No,
it's what we see. It's perception.
So the perception is there are a group of guys, and then there were a group of girls.
The other light-skinned dude wasn't at the baby shower, but Lawrence
wasn't.
Yeah.
Lawrence wasn't at the baby shower?
I think he was.
Oh, yeah, they were. He was. Yeah, go ahead, Jazz. I mean, cut you off.
I feel like they're both like Lawrence is kind of like the common friend that brings them together.
Right.
I think they're more each friend like have their friendship with Lawrence and then they hang out together.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to bring it back to you, Jazz, but I think a lot of fans have been really wanting to see more of Derek in this season. And I think that for the first time this season, we got a really good performance by that character. He really dove into this really emotional place that really told the story without having to really know the story. The level of hurt in his acting and just it was just I feel like it brought all the fans into his place so that you actually knew what he was going through without actually having to know what he was going through this entire time. The bus scene was just ultimately really powerful of him just kind of talking to himself, blaming himself, knowing how deep this had gotten, wish he could have did more and so on. But nonetheless, Tiffany's missing. And much like Jazz has said, we knew there was trouble in paradise just by her detachment in previous other episodes and probably other little things we probably forgot too. Now that we've seen the whole season, it's probably interesting to go back and just kind of see how that character develop over the season. But what's your initial thoughts of this? Tiffany missing and pretty much the conflict between Tiffany and Derek.
I think Tiffany and Derek are going to be fine. I think that their storyline was just arcing over the whole fighting for people. I think the theme for the whole episode was you just saw how people were realizing that they needed to fight for somebody in that relationship. Mm-hmm. Molly trying to finally fight for Andrew, Lawrence trying to, fight for Issa or, figure it out with Issa. I think the Tiffany and Derek storyline was just necessary, for that. For they kind of set the tone and the example as to why fighting for somebody is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think, too, they had to touch bases on it anyway, because she had completely checked out at the block party and she was saying a lot of crazy things. And we knew that it would be, they haven't said what it is, but we know that it's postpartum depression, which is something that is very, very real. And you have to.
But didn't Derek say he tried to have the baby to make her happy?
No.
Yeah, he said that they weren't planning to have babies for 2 years, and it happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure she didn't want no kids.
Okay. Go ahead.
But no, I'm just saying that it's definitely postpartum depression that explains her behavior, and her leaving and checking out the way that she did is just kind of like her way of dealing with everything that's going on. But Derek fighting and trying to find her, calling her friends, like that's really real to me. And I've always liked Derek because I've always liked his character. And it was just like really real to see him in that way.
I think also Tiffany. So number one, Issa, Molly, and Kelly. I love their little adventures together. They're such a dynamic trio. They're just so wild, and everything they went throughout this was funny and all. But let it be no distraction that the way how they talked about and they reminisce on the things they've done together was the trail in which Tiffany took by herself when she was gone. So that's why when they were just like, oh, there's a bar. And it was like, oh, I remember when we went to a bar, what we did after. And I don't know much about postpartum, but it sounds like with her having a baby, she's not able to do the things that she used to do. So she kind of like skipped out to kind of have her mini own adventure to the things that she used to do with her friends. That's why they were so easy to kind of put all the vectors together to say like, this is what she's doing. So I thought that to show the good bond between the four of them, but it really showed like the conflict that Tiffany is having, and we've seen it over this season, but much like Derek said, and I know a lot of people predicted it would get to this. I just didn't think they were going to display on this level because, like, again, I think ever since that scene when the urgency went up, I think like this episode truly tried to pull some feelings out of people because it was a lot. It was a lot of powerful moments that happened in this. Maya, you want to get in there?
I think that we have to also remember that sometimes we are forced to be serious, right? When we want everything to be like fun, shits and giggles, right? So like I'm reading through the comments, and there are comments made by some of the men. And no shade to them. I don't know if they're being serious or what, but the comment was that, they were waiting to see a man pop out behind Tiffany when the hotel room door opened. And that lets you know, like how, I don't want to say uneducated, but misinformed people are when it comes to women having kids. And I understand that as men, you don't fully understand that dynamic. But if you have women in your life, then I'm pretty sure that there's been a conversation that has been said or talked about around that realm at some point in time. they were hitting on mental illness for a reason. First with, Nathan's bipolar disorder, now to the postpartum. They're trying to show you that there are a lot of things that we're dealing with in our community that aren't addressed. Postpartum is extremely big, right? I've had friends who don't want to come outside the house. Like literally, I'm going over there, cleaning, doing all sorts. It's kind of like exactly what you saw on the show, right? To help out, because it is a lot, especially when it's not planned, and it's never really ever planned. But when you're not when you don't have the tools to navigate yourself in the way that you can to switch, you know what I mean? It's a very hard transition. So I think that the idea that, what is his name again? Tiffany's husband, Eric. He's a display of an amazing husband, right? I'm going to give him props for being an amazing husband. Man is saying like, I tried to give her space. I tried to take, to give her extra time and, do all these things. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with it because they're not really fully aware, and you can't really lead a horse to water, right? So like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink sweet. But if he's saying like, hey, we need to go to therapy, or like, what can I do? It's something that has to be like her choice to say, hey, this is what's going on. And I think I need help. And it's not always that easy, but I definitely think that giving her the comfort that she needed, the compassion in that scene where he's just like, like, baby, what's wrong? Like, just, all right, just come here. That's what you want. That's exactly what you want. I thought, and it was also like, if you even think about it, it was also very telling. It was something about the moment where the women stand back. Right. It's like saying, we still got you, we support you, but this is your moment with your husband. This needs to happen. They shot that scene very, very well. Yes, they did. Very well.
Yeah. And I think it made me feel like also like, just again, going back to the friendship, like those are the type of friends that you want. Like they, the way that they banded together, there was no, even Molly and Issa and whatever, they had going on. Like it wasn't about that. It was, they were all about Tiffany in that moment. And that was really good to see.
Yeah. And I definitely commend the Derek character for having a really humble tone in a state of urgency, because like, as much as he's scared, he didn't draw any assumptions or anything of that sort. And he really approached her in a really in a comforting way, like you said, Amaya, because again, he has no clue what she's feeling, or at the current moment. He knows she was going through a lot, and he made sure that it was about her. It was never about him, and I thought that was very cool. And I definitely, them standing off to the back, I didn't really look at the dynamics like you said it was. That does speak volumes right there. So yeah, and I think that in particular was truly the factor of like Issa and Molly going back to saying like, I need to go fix some things. I need to address some things. I need to have some other conversations. So because little if they know it, especially with the viewers, we saw Tiffany having, issues throughout the season. But as far as on face value, Derek and Tiffany have been the ideal couple. They've had it made out. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure they looked at that too, and they were just like, "Yo, wait, they're having this," because none of them knew. None of them knew. So
I agree, and I also want to just jump in there real quick, and that getting off the bus scene. Okay, that's a tribute. Yeah. It's a tribute to what's going on right now. You know what I mean? They made it light, but it was very heavy because that tone shifted for me. Even though I knew it was playful, it was still like, this is dead serious. They don't have the time to go into this right now because they are shooting it going into Tiffany, but they were making it a thing for you to see, like, just because we're, it was interesting that they used that dynamic, and I thought that it was crazy from the bus with a white guy who wanted to be an inner black woman and all this extra shit, and then getting off the bus, and then the black bus driver calling because she hit the button, like, come on, man.
But I will say this, because of how filming is done, we know that this had been filmed.
Yeah.
But because this is so common, something that could have been filmed months ago is still relevant now.
It's always gonna be
more relevant now because that's just what happens. It's so common that it's, you know, and who knows, you know, how many more times stuff like that is just coincidentally just going to end up being placed in the timeline of things happening in the real world. So, you know, I thought about it too, and I, you know, it's just the life we live. You look at the scene, you automatically think, we're conditioned to think this is going to go one way.
Because I definitely was like, wow, where is this going?
Yeah, it took I was like, wait, this took a twist.
Yeah.
But then they kind of like again dialed it back, like you know, you said. I felt like they didn't have, this wasn't the moment that they were gonna touch on, you know.
Right.
No,
but
not right there.
Yeah,
it was just enough.
It was like an acknowledgement.
Yeah,
right.
With especially with Molly saying, "I'm an attorney," and they like, "Nope, I don't want no parts of that. Nope, nope. Everybody go home."
And then when she called him a racist, or she called him something. I can't recall if she called him a racist, but she was talking to the police officer. The way that his facial expression when she said what she said to him.
Oh, black. She said, "Is there a reason why you're talking to us and not them?" And then she said, "Black maybe," and then he was like, "No, I don't want any parts of this. Not me, not tonight." So yeah.
So it could have went so many ways, but I'm glad that it stayed on a high note.
I tell you, and I say, even if anybody is out there willing to try to say and dig deeper than what it really was, the next immediate scene of them showing Kobe and Nipsey's murals, I mean, that lets you know exactly where the tone was at. Like, hey, this is a you know, a celebratory moment here. Like, you know, this was actually something that was handled a different way than usual. You know, and I think that's good, because if something was, I mean, you know how the people are on the internet. If it's done the same way, then people just complain about it. If it's done different, people are complaining about it. So they made sure and made it very clear, like, this is our show and this is the way we're doing it. And shout out to my man Kobe and Nipsey, and that's what we're rocking with right now.
No one should pay attention to the internet anyway. Let's be real here. Y'all gave such eloquent points. I was just thinking this is going to be the end of Amanda. I'm like, okay, this is how they're gonna fire her. In my head, that's all.
Oh wow!
I was like, this is how they're gonna get rid of her on this show. You know, I'm like, maybe that was it. I mean, it worked out well. It worked out beautifully. It was an amazingly shot scene.
Yeah.
But my mind immediately went to the silliness of it. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, they're gonna get rid of Amanda this way. I ain't know how they were gonna do it. I'm like, they're gonna try to get rid of her some way, somehow.
Nah, she made it through.
I know, you know, praise God. Praise God. Look at won't he do it? Won't he do
it? So because of the conflict between Tiffany and Derek, like I said, that really made everybody go back to the drawing board and say, hey, we got some things to address within their inner situation. So, you know,
are we gonna get to the big part? Okay.
The whole breakdown in reference to like how they had to internally digest what was going on with Tiffany is something as well. Everybody on the bus was they were all thinking, you know what I mean? It was a moment, even it might have been a short moment, but it was still a moment of reflection to be like, damn, like, you know, what did I miss? You know, because when that's your friend, that's also something that you feel like, you know, like, well, where was I? How could I not have not seen it? Whatever the case is, you get to take that in and you get to see things and pay attention. And then you also get to think to yourself, like, how can I be better? That's really the question. The question is, how can I be better? A better friend, a better person, and then you go into everything else.
Yep. That's exactly it. Right on the head there.
It's true.
And you know, and I guess, I mean, I could be totally wrong here, but like, is that the reason probably why Andrew responded to Molly in the way he did? Because maybe he felt like, again, Molly's not coming from a sincere place. Because it took for something else to happen for her to come back and say, okay, we need to talk in a different approach.
I think you still got to go back to the conversation on the bus. The conversation on the bus, to me, was the most important part of this episode. When Derek is talking about Tiffany, but if you when Issa and Molly are talking, they are clearly talking about each other.
Yeah,
that was highly important to me. That set the tone of everything else that was going to happen with both of their relationships. and how they were both going to deal with it. When Issa, like, you know what, you bent over backwards for her. Things like that's Issa saying, I bent over backwards for you. I did everything for you.
Yeah.
And for Molly to say, no matter what, we're going to work to make it right. That's them two having the start of their conversation together.
I agree.
I think what happens afterwards with Andrew, it was just confirming to Molly who that conversation needed to happen with, and it wasn't him.
And it wasn't.
He wasn't the person she needed to fight for.
Right.
And even with Issa, I think it came to a realization for her, like, this is just too much. Like, I don't need to be in the mess of this right now. I don't think this is worth my time to be in this mess right now. And both of them coming to that realization that it's us we need to work on, not the outside stuff, not the outside distractions. And even again, I hate speculating, but even when it seems like you can see them talking and Prentice is panning away, it's clearly that they're talking about each other. Like, they're not focusing on the outside stuff. And as much as the outside stuff that happened between them this season and in this episode, for them still to just focus on each other, let them know what the conversation that needed to be happened.
Yeah, that was necessary. I think that you have to have a conversation with yourself, and then you have to decide to have a conversation with each other. That's why I was saying to you guys early in the chat when I was rewatching the episode before this, I'm like, man, Molly is so selfish. She's not willing to compromise. You know, you can't. She kept saying to Andrew, like, well, see, I'm trying. But at the brunch, Issa had to say, hey, how was your day? How was your nephew? How is work? Like, it was so much teeth pulling that to me, I was like, this is crazy. So for her to finally get that mirror shattered in a sense, right? Molly got that mirror shattered. Like, you're not who you think you are. You know, like you need. This is your reality check, and you know.
Can I ask all three of the women, not Nature, because he don't count here, all three of the women, a quick question here. What is the chance? And I don't know if I asked this last episode, but it's really been on my mind since last episode. What's the chance that she meant to send that message to Issa? I don't think that was a mistake.
Let's just say that we hope that it was.
No. Yeah. If I'm texting people, how I get those two names confused?
No. I've done that, but so here's the thing.
I do it all the time.
I must say I've done it before, not on purpose. My phone has frozen when I think I'm texting on one text and I'm actually texting in another text, and I don't check and I hit send. So
they haven't been communicating with it. They weren't communicating with each other.
Yeah, they were.
Since and when?
No. Molly wasn't communicating with Issa via text. I see what you're saying, but I don't think
she called Issa. Issa called her to set up that meeting.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake still, though. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's now, but I do think it was a mistake.
Yeah. She was also looking at Andrew when that happened and realized, like, wait a minute. Andrew's not reacting.
I know how texts work, and I'm like, wait a minute. It
definitely happens.
If you're trying to be sneaky about it, right? Yeah. And you're like, I'm looking at Andrew, I'm looking at my phone, I'm texting, I hit send. But you know what? So here's the thing: even in your phone, sometimes if you have people that you normally talk to, your phone will kind of automatically.
That must be an iPhone thing. That's an iPhone thing. Okay,
I knew it was coming.
I know
that's an iPhone thing. That's an iPhone thing.
I know it was coming too.
I knew he was gonna say that.
No, I'll be in a previous text thinking that I'm responding to the current text, and it's a whole different person.
Yeah, like because in mine it's set up by the last people I text or in alphabetical order. So there's literally, if I get confused, I'm just gonna send it to another random person, but it wouldn't be to someone who I'm not texting in the first place.
I mean, I'll just say no reason to speculate. It definitely happens. Yeah. It can happen.
But I see what Lou was saying, because he's just saying, like, if you weren't texting at all, normally it's a person.
How did it pop up that way?
I mean, it could be.
But I mean,
yeah, so it can happen in numerous ways.
The type of person that Molly is.
No,
passively aggressively, I can let you know. Passively aggressively, I can say, "Look, I'm trying."
That's the whole thing. Knowing who Molly is, she's not passive aggressive. So I think needed the opportunity. loud and proud and wrong.
Think about the way she was in that episode with Issa. She was very.
Luke, I thought you wasn't in that Facebook group, man. Huh? I thought you weren't in that Facebook group. You out here reaching for the stars on this one.
Hey, I'm telling y'all think it's a joke. I'm not tripping here. Again, if I ain't been texting you and your name ain't Issa spelled with an A, I am highly confused. I got you confused with Angel.
That's some Android shit right there.
We keep ours in order. I don't know how y'all do it. We keep ours in order of people I text.
Whatever.
Okay, we all right. We definitely got to talk about this now. I mean, I know we talked about it in the beginning episode, but this is definitely the big beef of things. This is why we're going a little bit over our time for the night. And that's the Condola and Lawrence conversation. I mean, and again, you guys emphasized on a lot of it earlier, but just to kind of bring it back, circling around, said Condola, whatever.
Condola. Look at you, just hating. You even hate her name, Condola.
Just put her and Roller together, like
wow.
Condola said she wanted to come over and needed to talk. Ended up laying the bomb, saying that she was pregnant. First of all, I thought Condola was going to definitely be done this season. So seeing her again, I thought I saw a ghost. Notably, she was wearing white too. So I was just like, "What she doing here?" I already knew it was about to be some wild shit.
I really love the way they shot that with the back and forth and the way that like Condola asking the question was the answer. They did a really good job with that.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people called it, and I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest with you, because one of my biggest pet peeves is to be able to see what's going to happen, and it's so cliche to me for this to be happening. Although it still gives a twist that everybody wants, I'm still like for real, like this is the game all over again when Derwin got that.
Oh wow,
wow. At the goddamn hospital. So I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
You said the game. I'm so mad about that.
For me, this scene just really stamps that they don't need to be together. I mean, the worst thing for a woman is a man to have a baby with someone else. And then at the beginning of the relationship, or right at the beginning for this to be happening, it just says like we don't need to be together. And it is too much. And then for him to even ask Issa if she would still want to be with him, it's just a no.
Yeah.
A hard no.
Go ahead, Jazz.
So I didn't think that, I was waiting for something to go, wrong with Lawrence and Issa, because especially when we found out that this wasn't going to be the last season, that there's more to come. Lawrence and Issa, I feel like that's the end game here. So I feel like they gotta, they still gotta give us some, some hoops to jump through before we get there.
But why would you want to be with him?
I do feel, but look, here's also a theory that I have too, because maybe they'll throw in another twist. Who's to say that Condola will actually wind up having the baby?
Because that would be another female factor of miscarriage or abortion or adoption.
I can see the miscarriage route.
And I also think too, when you think about season 5 being greenlighted, I mean, you're not about to have Lawrence go to another city. You're not about to take the 2 main characters, put them in another city. So you have to. This is the way that you keep everybody in the same city, one way or another.
Lawrence isn't the main character though.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. He is not a main character.
He's written in as a guest on the show.
He is not a main character. So you can put him in another city and have him travel back and forth, and it still not overall affect the show. I don't even think they want him to be Issa's love interest at this point. Yeah, I think this episode right here, with that decision she made of saying that this is too much, I think that ended any chances of them ever being together again. So there's literally, you show him because he's in the circle, but he's not a main part of the circle anymore. I think that's the way you do it. Because other than that, in all honesty, if this was real life, we would have a bigger discussion of how does this affect us. It is what it is. Gabby stayed. Why can't you stay? I'd have put it out of petty as hell. If it's worth staying for, and you knew I was in a past relationship and something happened, if you think this is worth working out, why would this be the nail in the coffin of us working everything out?
So keynote, Issa did not say they were done.
Right. She just said this is too much.
This is too much.
For her to go roll that joint, it's done.
Yeah, I'm just saying because
I don't know. I know a lot of people.
I paid attention to her saying this is way too much for me to do. Like this is too much for me.
I mean, yeah, that could be the case, but it still doesn't mean she gave a definite answer which way she was gonna go either. I agree, it is too much, right? But the effort that they put into this, right, into trying anew and into starting a different chapter with them being different people and having grown so much, I think that it could go either way. I don't know if I'm for it or against it. I mean, whatever makes them happy. I've seen people in real life do way worse shit or way.
That's what I'm saying. In real life, I would say, why this wouldn't be enough to break you up. But I think on the show, with the way they want Issa's character to be, this may be, hey, we tried it again. This is something fans wanted. They wanted to see if these two could work out again. Look, they gave you issue why it wasn't going to work out again.
Look at Lou giving Issa props for her maturity. Mm-hmm. Something he hasn't done the whole season. And then the one final thing, he's like, oh, she's going to make the responsible decision and leave him.
Did I say that was responsible?
I think that.
I don't say that. I literally said in real life, why wouldn't you stay to fight for it? But I understand her in the dynamic of the way they set up, again, both of the ending of these relationships that led to her and Molly getting back together. I think that's them saying, like, no, there's too much for me. I don't need this in my life. I pay a lot of attention to her saying, I thought she was out of our lives. I thought she was done. I think that has way more to do with it than Lawrence. Is that she doesn't want to be around Condola.
Right, and that would be my thing. My thing is that I would think that if it was anything, it wasn't about Lawrence as much as it was about Condola. You know, like the idea that this woman, you know, dated you, you know, it didn't work, and now I'm here, and you know, now I gotta see her face, you know, and
she always gonna be here
on me, and
she's always
gonna be the other stuff, you know, that's different as well. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you love someone hard enough, and you're willing to put in all this work to start anew, and there are gonna be things that come up, you know, you can either deal or you can say, you know what?
Hey, quick question. Are you talking about Derek and Tiffany? No, right?
No, I'm talking about
Issa and Molly.
Right, but
I mean,
that same statement you made, wouldn't that apply to them as well?
In reference to fighting hard enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would apply more.
When they're married, but they're married. You can't relate a marriage to a new relationship.
No. She said this was about love. That's all she said. And said nothing about marriage. Yeah. So if that statement you made could apply to Tiffany and Derek, you don't think Issa?
I think it's a situation that's different. Completely different.
I think that people look at it differently because they want. So here's my thing, and I mean.
Hold on, but the point I'm getting at is that you don't think Issa solved the whole scenario with Derek and Tiffany and think like, hell, if I really want this relationship to work, I'm going to fight for this, regardless of the circumstance that this came up?
I think
you don't think that's going to flip?
No. I think that's the key part. I think that she's so happy with them and realized this relationship wasn't worth fighting for.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to, again, the same way I feel with Molly and Andrew. When he asked and Molly didn't really answer, that's because she realized it really wasn't worth her fighting for, and then their relationship was worth fighting for. I think Issa is. I think when she said this is too much, I think she's realizing it's not worth fighting for.
I don't think that it's not worth fighting for. I think it's too much. There's a difference. Something can be. It can just be too much. Doesn't mean that it's not worth fighting for. I think
it comes with a whole lot of things.
Yeah, if you're talking in reference to, if I'm talking solely in reference to the love part, right? The relationship is new but old. 5 years is not negated because they're like starting fresh, so to speak. The 5 years still exists. That's the whole reason why the fresh start started in the first goddamn place, is because they still have that love for each other. They still care. It's still there. So the idea that love is what's supposed to be pulling them together or holding them together means that it's a good chance that she'll, like I said, it's a toss-up. She can decide, like, yo, this is too much for me.
We put too much emphasis on love and not reality sometimes. We can love people and they not be right for us.
Love and let them go.
Yeah.
And I agree, fight when you love somebody, do all that you can do. But the minute that a baby comes into a situation and it ain't your baby, honey, the reality outweighs love.
I mean, it all depends on the situation. I've dated people with kids, so I know what that's, I know what that's like, but I've never had an experience.
And that's why I'm saying that the reality outweighs love.
That's what I'm saying. My experience has not put me into your outcome, is what I'm saying. Like, for me to think that the reality outweighs the love. For me, love always outweighs. That's just cool, but that's by nature. That's just something that's innate with me.
I think again.
Yeah, let's not forget she was with him when he didn't have a job and anything.
I think it plays a hell of a lot to do with you having a baby with someone who I thought was out of the picture that I didn't have to deal with anymore. That's huge for a lot of people. It's different. I think if it was just a random woman, I think she may have been able to deal with it better. But with it being Condola,
he's still dramatic.
No. But you got to keep in mind, she's had a relationship with Condola that went bad. So if I have a relationship with somebody that went bad,
like, she ain't rocking with Condola no more because Condola was shady.
But that's what I mean. It went bad. So she had a relationship with Condola that went bad. Now Lawrence has a relationship with Condola that went bad, and yet they still have a child together. If I'm with you, she's gonna always be in the picture.
Yes. Condola. It's like, no, I'm joking.
I think it's just hard. If someone's always in the picture and you know that person, it kind of makes it. That's when she said it's too much. To me, that was it. It's too much.
Well, we'll see.
And at that point, protecting yourself, which I'm big on, protecting herself was way more important than being with him.
Yeah.
I'm taking it at face value. She said it was too much. She never said they were done.
You just want Lawrence. You just want her and Lawrence to be together. It ain't happening.
I'm just watching the show. I'm just not being a conspiracy theorist. That's what we're saying, and that's what it is.
We're not conspiring or anything. What I'm saying is that what does it mean if this is the situation, and how do you think it'll go? We're not saying that she's not going to stay, or that the show is going to make her be with him or not be with him. But we're just saying realistically in this particular situation and how it would relate to us, because we can't foresee what's going to happen in the show.
Yeah, great question. I think that she's going to stick around to try to make it work with Lawrence by whatever that means. But also, let's not forget that Lawrence was given a lot of ultimatums. You can be involved as much as you want. I'm good. That was the first thing.
I don't think he gave people.
I don't think that's
how do anybody know when Lawrence, y'all bashed Lawrence the whole time about him being no good, other girls this, walking out, and all of a sudden he just got he got a moral compass all of a sudden now.
No. I got you right here. I can answer this real quick. I don't think Issa would want any parts of him if he decided not to be in that child's life.
Exactly.
I was getting there. I was absolutely getting there.
I don't think she would want any parts of him. But I think she don't want any parts of him being in that child's life either. It's both ways to her. I think that comment of "this is too much" carries a lot more weight than you want to put on it when she said it.
I think for the sake of having to write another season of things, we get a baby. We get a date. We get a baby.
You can put a baby in it. You can put Condola in it.
You can
literally have her go through what Isha and Cheryl was talking about, because clearly it's another option there.
Well, I was going to say
she clearly has feelings for.
this can still go a bunch of different ways. I mean, that's why, you know, with all these different moving pieces, like it builds enough to like being able to write a whole nother season of different options. So look, Condola can have the baby, Lawrence can take care of the baby, they could be co-parenting. All of a sudden,
and then Tiffany gets involved, and
all of a sudden,
you get the group together.
All of a sudden, Condola wants to be with him. All of a sudden, where she was so anti-relationship. But now that she may see how Issa and Lawrence are together good, because now she has to see it all the time. I mean, who knows at this point? But I think for the sake of what we can really, truly kind of confirm in the sense that they all going to have to be in the same city next year or next season, whenever it is.
No, so I think he's decided he is going.
I think this is even more reason for him to go. Honestly.
I don't think the baby means he stay at all. Issa gave him the perfect reason why he doesn't have to stay because the baby's there. It's a 45-minute plane ride. I would still go get my job.
I don't have to he was because of the child, but
I don't have to stay here.
Right.
Now, it's just LA and San Francisco. We are not talking about LA and New York.
How long was the drive? Like 4 hours?
We can make this work with no problem. I don't think he's going to derail his career for it. I think he's going to do the smart. Lawrence is, if anything, he a dirty dude, but he a smart dude. So he ain't going to be crazy.
Dirty as an STD dirty?
Yes, STD dirty. That's what I'm talking about. Because he was giving out syphilis. But I mean, he's a smart dude in his business. I think he's going to continue his career. A baby don't stop your career. If women can do it, men can do it. Ain't no difference. Especially when you're the father.
Is that true?
For what? Women and men? Yes. It don't stop your career. You may have to put a pause on certain things, of course. Especially if you're the primary person, as most women are. Yes, she may have to put a pause on it, but it's not going to stop her career. Not if she doesn't want it to.
Women have to make more sacrifices when it comes to children.
100% so. Even though I know some women that had the baby and then gave that joint up the moment it was said. But I mean, still.
I don't have kids, so I don't know this to be factual or not. But at least I thought it was 50-50. There's a situation going on that both people have to make the
50-50? You ain't been around a lot of babies. That's what it is.
So in that theory, you're thinking Derek didn't give everything up for his baby then?
What did he have to give up? Ain't Tiffany like almost a stay-at-home mom at this point?
No. Tiffany doesn't want anything to do with the baby. That's what's been going on this entire time. What are y'all talking about?
No, that's the postpartum part of it.
What do you mean?
When you talk about Derek not giving up anything for the baby, it's normally the mother that has to give up most of the stuff for kids.
Did you miss my point? I just said that. I said, is it not supposed to be 50-50? And you said, no guy ever does. And I said, so what, Derek didn't do anything?
No, I'm saying it's not 50-50. Unfortunately, it is not 50-50. That is a pipe dream. It's an awesome dream. It's a pipe one, though.
Again, I asked. My question was, is it supposed to be 50-50? Is that how it's supposed to be?
In which world? A make-believe one?
Your Facebook
cartoons? And cartoons and fantasy? In Facebook worlds, fathers are there 100% of the time. They take pictures and videos every time they get them for those 2 weekends a month.
I was talking about sacrifices. I said the sacrifices people make are 50-50. You went
no. I think we said that from the beginning. The sacrifice is never 50-50, unfortunately.
So in other words, if Lawrence is to not go to San Francisco and stay, that would just be a false narrative that they're painting.
I don't think he would ever pick that. I don't see no reason why. It's literally not necessary.
Well, Jazz said there ain't gonna be no damn baby, so I'm gonna go with that.
I think that's gonna be a twist that's gonna come up. I think it is a possibility.
Miscarriage. I thought about something of that nature.
Yeah,
the miscarriage would be the way to go if you're gonna try to do a twist on it. I hope they don't go that way, but that would be the way to go.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That's too much trauma to deal with.
I think the baby would add a different dynamic to the whole situation.
It's too traumatic. You talking about postpartum, bipolar, breakups. That's too much.
Unless you're willing to make Condola a main character, it's kind of hard to do the miscarriage.
But I think a lot, because I know that Issa mentioned in one of the wind downs that she doesn't want to be on the show as much. So I think next season she's going to try to take a seat back and then bring someone forward, because who would be there if she wasn't?
So that's just not going to work, because don't most people watch the show because it is her show?
But remember, she was absent a whole episode except for one clip, and it was perfectly fine. We all enjoyed that episode.
If she wants to take a step back, what you do is just boost up the supporting cast more.
Exactly. So that's why.
And they kind of set it up because with everything going on with Tiff, you can see her get more involved in more episodes.
Having her own episode.
Yeah. If she wants to step back, if that's the goal, is for her to pull back a little bit.
She said in the wind down. Yeah, she was just like, "Wow, yeah, I would love, to not be on every episode."
I would love to get more point of view episodes, like a point of view episode from Kelly.
Yes, absolutely.
That would be hilarious.
Amazing.
That would be hilarious, Joe. And she's an amazing writer too, so that would be great.
Yeah. And she's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Najir just mad because Lawrence is a piece of shit. But go ahead, Najir. Go ahead.
No, I'm not mad. I just don't like speculating for the stars. I mean, I just take the show for what it's face value. I think a lot of people do spend too much time in coming up with these really.
All I said is that I just don't think that she should be with him after finding out he had a baby.
I want to talk about that.
But we talked about him still going to San Francisco because that was his job. And they be like, no.
Facebook groups and such, and I was talking to somebody about it earlier. It's a unfortunate bitter syndrome on both ends, be it men or women. Like when people were like, "Oh, Andrew is always talking in his native tongue," and then when Molly comes in, he hangs up the phone. Yeah, because
his family speaks his language.
Speaking native tongue. No, he's cheating. You can tell people are bitter and sad and hurt
when they let their own personal feelings about it creep into it.
Yeah, talk about people like, shut up.
I'm trying to tell you, like sometimes I'd be like, I know I didn't watch the same episode because.
But you always got to remember, everything is off of their own perception, so people can always read certain things out of certain things that other people don't see. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's just that it's your personal perception of things.
Yeah, no, but it's different when you have an opinion about something outside of saying this is a narrative that they're trying to push, and it just completely be false. That's what be happening, and it's way too much of it.
Oh, I don't go on the internet nor the Twitter or any of those things, so I wouldn't know.
One of the things that pissed me off last week was with the whole bipolar scene and how people immediately went on and was saying how they think Nathan's abusive and
what the
fuck? That was the last comment I seen. That was it.
I rolled out after that.
That was it.
What group are y'all in? That would be
bad insecure group.
Go get it.
Oh,
but I was just like,
no, I'm good. I am.
Oh my gosh.
But again, like I said, it's bitter people. Like you can't be that far-fetched without like putting your own self in that situation.
It comes from somewhere.
Yeah, we feeling bad. I got me feeling bad here.
That they have mental illness or why they don't want to get help and have it confirmed because of all of the judgment that happens with saying to people that you have mental illness. And that was my response. And that was just like, this is why people speak up.
Yeah, people, I mean, like I don't respond. I don't even comment most of the time. I literally read, and I think
I had to comment on that one.
How we do that, even in real life. I mean, I met people that do it. Like I'll make a comment today. I made a comment about where I was buying a house. They were like, "Why the fuck would you do that?" And I'm like,
because it's not your business.
You know what I mean? But like again, people are so bent on projecting their stuff onto somebody else that you'll just keep doing it and think it's right. And then when people agree with you and give you all the Facebook fan in the world, then it's a whole different story.
All I will say is I don't base anything off of my perception. I base it off of anything that I watch, and I base it off of the characters that I see. That's all. Anything else does not matter to me. I base it strictly off of the characters I see and the formation of those characters and how it looks like they may progress. So when I say something, it's because of that reason. I'm like, okay, that seems like something that character would do.
And personal testimony.
Well, no, my personal testimony is completely different.
I don't know. I heard a few I've had this in real life.
I will always give. I had this happen in real life, so yes, I understand it. No, that's me understanding the situation. But you can't put that on the character unless the character's personality traits fit what you believe yours are.
Yeah, I mean that's really the point, and that's where I'm getting at is that in 10 episodes, no matter if it had different writers and directors, the continuity between the characters have been flawless. And I don't understand how people just come up with these different abstract ideas. It's like, well, did you not watch which brings me to my closing point for the night is that Condola's been very unpredictable this entire season. I don't expect her to come clean now. So I know there's a lot more to come out of that because she was like, buddy, to I'm gone, to like, hey, we're not in a relationship, to like, hey, I'm back, you have a baby.
Has it been? I'm asking an honest question. Has it been inconsistent with the
100%? 100%. We talked about that at the time.
Remember, we always talked about the way she seemed to handle business was one way, and then when the personal portions got into it, she acted a completely different way.
Her. She handled it. It was like she is the same. She is the person she is. She was all about business, and then they were friends hanging out, and then she was not there. And the business, whatever, however that was fizzled out. Yeah, sporadic. So an amazing word. So
yeah.
But we're definitely at our bonus time for the night. Just really quickly, is there anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this up?
What happened to Latoya? That's all I need to know. I need to watch
I was wondering the same thing. Where were they?
I need to find out. Did they find Latoya?
Did they find Latoya? How did that whole finding Latoya thing kind of fit into?
I think it's they have an after, like they did with Due South. I think that was the one in season 2. The slave joke they did. I think they did something like that. I gotta check that out and see what happened to Latoya. I'm literally invested in what happened to her, so I need to.
I think they did a great job this season. The directing was amazing. The writing was amazing. The cinematography was really good. I'm excited to see where we go for season 5, and I think that I think they keep getting better and better because it's more and more relatable. They're bringing up things that don't usually always make it to the forefront when it comes to conversations in the Black community. So I applaud them for doing that, for bringing it in, whether it be subtle or blatant. I think that it's just, it's necessary that we talk about it. It gives us a chance to really to have more discussions in an open forum.
Yeah, and I like, again, going back to the approach that they use to bring up so many different topics and stuff like that is they kind of, sometimes even if they can't go into it, it's just kind of sprinkled in, but it almost kind of, it normalizes it. Like these are, issues that everybody is going through at some point. Or someone that's gone through it.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm looking forward to next season. Obviously, we'll be back, God willing. Not to mention with everything that's happening in the world right now, and they're probably back to writing ever since they got greenlighted for the 5th season. I just expect next season to have a lot of influence, especially in the stuff in LA, considering that Nathan was one of the big voices out there on the streets, and he hasn't had a chance to write an episode. Wouldn't be surprised if he did. So it'd be very curious to see how, as it is of June of 2020, whenever it comes back next year, how much of what's happening now is really prevalent in what they're going to be showing for next season. So I definitely expect it to get a lot more drama, better acting, maybe some new faces, other people getting a chance to write and direct, but definitely very heavy on the social issues because as we've seen, they've been progressing on that, and I think it's no better time now than to use a show like Insecure as another platform to do so. So I'll be looking forward to that. But that'll wrap it for the night. We will be coming together to do an entire season recap. Some of us probably need to refresh some of this stuff over again. It's been a long season, but definitely stay tuned for that. And as always, thank you so much for watching, commenting, interacting, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Prentice.